Hi, I'm Moneca, and I'm excited to welcome you to a new season of Trekkie and Beyond, a Star Trek podcast. Today, we will cover 2 episodes of Star Trek Prodigy, and those 2 episodes are called Lost and Found. Super excited.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm still new to Star Trek, but I've seen the first episode of Prodigy a few times, as well as the Section 31 movie.
Great. This season, I'll be mentoring Nick, my cousin, and introducing him more into Star Trek series. Okay, let's dive into Prodigy. Nick, can you tell us about your initial reactions?
Well, to put into 3 words, it felt somber, confusing, and wondrous.
Okay. That's intriguing. Interesting. We'll dive in deeper, of course. I felt like it's colorful, youthful, and adventurous. We're both looking forward to discussing this more. Nick, can you give us a recap?
The episode starts out with this panning shot of the planet Tars Lamora. It gives us this like prison labor camp-esque feeling, and it starts out with us meeting Dow, the main character. He's this like little purple boy, not sure about where he comes from, his family, his identity still unknown at this point, and it sets the stage essentially for the conflict between the protagonist and the antagonist, as we also meet Dreadnought in the same scene, who's the main antagonist of the first episode, this robotic life form S character. We learn about this main character, the diviner, who seems to be looking for this entity named Fugitive Zero. I really like the idea of there being a character on the good side that doesn't have any like physical body, that just kind of seems like all powerful. It gives this sense that there's something that the character isn't leading on, and it also gives a sort of sense of security because you have such a powerful ally on your side.
Fugitive Zero is undercover. It's been there for a while. But been hiding out. So the diviner has been looking for Fugitive Zero, Dreadnought, Gwyn. Everyone's on the hunt, but feel like Fugitive Zero's just been hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Maybe hopping between vehicle, electronic device, anything like that, since it seems to have control over anything really that has some sort of electricity.
Yeah, and Fugitive Zero also has a telepathic ability, which
Yeah.
is scary. If you
Yeah.
can read someone else's mind, know their thoughts, that's a big hidden talent there.
Yeah. It allows them for an easy way to communicate without the enemy knowing what they're thinking or saying.
Good point. I really like Dow, and I'm interested in seeing how his story evolves over the next 2 seasons. I love the fact that he's like purple, young, energetic, willing to take tons of risks, and not certain about his identity. He's not certain, we're not certain,
Yeah.
but just wants more out of life than what he's restricted to now.
He reminds me a little bit of Miles Morales. And they both seem to be young black teens, even though he's not explicitly black in the show, but he gives that feeling. Same mannerisms. They're both pretty fun characters, and they both seem to be just finding their way throughout their lives.
That's a really good point because they're both like natural leaders and they have some hidden talents. Gwyn put him on the spot and he was like, but I'm not going to rat out what I'm really up to.
Yeah.
So, and that's another common trait between Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse and this, and that there's a Gwyn character.
Oh, yeah, actually. Same name and everything.
Yeah.
Almost.
What do you think about Gwyn?
She's interesting. I mean, I like her character. She seems like she has a lot of undelved into backstory as of now. But she wants to leave the planet, but she at the same time she's reluctant to do so, which is kind of confusing. Maybe she knows that her father, who's the diviner by the way, maybe she knows he's more powerful than is originally let on, or maybe she still wants to stay on the planet for a certain reason, but from what we know now, she's just kind of being reluctant to leave, and it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, she also knows a lot of languages, I think,
Yeah,
because she was able to do some of the translation. It seems as though her father or father figure is gearing her to a leadership role. She also is willing to like save the that orphan companion, slave companion, like that looks like a cat.
yeah.
It's from a species called Caitlin, and the only reason why I know that is because that character's also in, or that species is in Lower Decks, Dr. Tahana. But I like the fact that Gwyn is not just a villain and not just thinking about herself, also thinking about like there's this young innocent female character who's just caught in this awkward situation and wants to save her as well. There are a lot of different species here. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of like different alien species. What do you think about that as someone new to Star Trek?
It definitely gives me the same type of feel that I got when I first watched Star Wars. There's a plethora of different races and different species that all come together and they're all sentient. I really like that idea of millions and millions of different species because it's always leaving you wondering what's gonna happen next, who's gonna come in the picture next, or what team is gonna do what, or what bonds are gonna be formed. It allows for a really, really good way to build the world.
And it also goes to show that you can't always judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about Rock Talk now. But I really don't like that voice that she has. I don't like the contradiction personally between the voice and the body of Rock Talk. I feel like if anything, they should have at least kept the same personality because it seems like Rock Talk was acting completely different in the episode from before the voice of Rock Talk got translated to after. And I feel like if it's going through a translation, the voice shouldn't become super high pitched. It should just Dal should have just been able to understand Rock Talk, if that makes sense, instead of just like a complete 180 from what Rock Talk was as a character.
See, I was thinking of it though, more like this is what happens when we don't really understand each other's culture or way of communicating,
Yeah,
and that maybe something that in which it may seem at first like an aggression may just be the way that person naturally communicates,
yeah,
and then the translator, whatever that technology is that's behind the scenes, made the voice more high pitched and girly. But
yeah,
maybe that's if that person could speak the same language as everyone else,
yeah.
maybe, and without the technology, maybe it wouldn't be there.
In this big expanse world, it kind of leads you to wonder why the main language that every language is translated to is English. Because if it's in this giant universe with millions of different species, you'd think it would, translate to the most globally used language. But I guess if it's English, I guess it's English.
But
Yeah.
it's the same problem, I think, in Star Wars,
Yeah.
in Expanse, a lot of other series. Because otherwise, we would have to read a lot of captions.
Yeah. The entire thing would just be subtitles.
Yeah. I do want to mention a few other colorful characters. There's Pog, there's Murph, but I feel like there's a lot of completely different characters that could take on different character arcs.
I'm okay with the character of Pog. He doesn't seem to have too much to him at the moment, but he seems like just a fun, quirky character that might get into some nefarious activities as the series continues. Right now, he's just in a sort of engineer role, but he's slightly interesting. I don't think there's gonna be too much to him, but who knows? He might have a insanely sad backstory or something like that later down the road. Who knows?
I think Pog is one of those characters that can get you out of tough situations. But I think Pog can be easily manipulated, as what we heard with the whole reverse psychology.
No, I will also say that might actually lead to a plot point later down the road where he can get easily manipulated. He might end up on the enemy side at some point, accidentally too. I mean, you might accidentally build a whole ship for somebody. Who knows?
And I also think at some point in time, just like in the second episode here, Murph is going to save the day. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Murph is going to be really good at keeping secrets.
yeah. Yeah, I understand him.
Right? But it's going to be able to like get into a tough situation, maybe like because it can collapse into like maybe a semi-liquid form and like move to some sort of other space to open up a door or something like that.
Yeah,
But I think Murph's going to be a key figure. Sometimes it starts out as the quiet ones, right? And that's able to save the day. I think Murph is one of those. And Star Trek is also lacking a lot of good merch. Murph can make good merch.
yeah. He is pretty marketable.
And so cute and colorful.
Yeah. We didn't speak too much on the Diviner or Dreadnought. We spoke about everybody related to them or everybody who interacts with them, but not those two.
Oh yeah, okay, so the bad guys.
First, the minor bad guy, Dreadnought. I really like the design of Dreadnought, especially with the whole like back tentacle thing he has going on. Kind of reminds me of Doc Ock from Spider-Man. It's pretty interesting how there's a whole race of just mechanical life form things that that kind of just follow orders. We don't know who maybe made the race, who built it. Maybe the race originates on Tars Lamora, or maybe originates from somewhere else. And he also has these little scorpion droid things that he has. I think their names are the Watchers. There's just millions of them that he can just control it and at his will, just at any point in time. He's a very interesting character, and I feel like he's definitely gonna have some importance to the story later. Maybe we'll find out why he's under the Divinerism now.
It's just tough because you have to have soldiers that'll do the bad guy stuff behind the scenes because our main characters don't want to be there. They're forced there to work for some sort of bigger mission that they're not aware of. And they're being forced not to be able to communicate with each other. They're like unwanted. And so, why are they kept there? What's the bigger prize? We end up finding out that there's a ship. We end up finding out that there's Fugitive Zero. So that's an important technology. And we think is a prize. I think that there's just something bigger out there. I don't know. We'll find out. I guess I'm kind of equated that to whether for the Diviner and Dreadnought, if that's part of their bigger mission. I feel like they're pirates, space pirates.
I feel like the Diviner. I don't think he would be in charge of this huge mining colony on an entire planet built specifically to mine for the ship. I don't think he would be in charge of that just for the ship if it wasn't something more important.
Right. Otherwise, why have all of these security systems in place?
He could also just be the prison warden. Who knows? There might be a even worse villain than the Diviner. He might just be in charge of the prison planet for the Empire.
These first two episodes can take us into many different directions, and the potential here, we're not directly connected with the Federation and Law and Order right now, but maybe there will be in the future. I like the fact that at the end we were introduced to a hologram. So the crew is introduced to Captain Janeway. Could possibly train the crew to how to use the ship because they don't know how to fly it.
Yeah.
Just pointing in a direction doesn't
They just got off the planet and started going. So.
And this may be important later, but she's the captain a series in Star Trek called Star Trek Voyager. She's a prominent lead and takes a lot of risk. I really like that, the fact that they included her, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes from here.
When I first saw Captain Janeway, I definitely got that impression that she had to be some sort of important figure from an older series because I don't think they would just include a presumably human character out of nowhere, especially in a completely different series like this.
Prodigy begins 5 years after Voyager returns from the quadrant. So it seems as though, like, after she's completed her 5 year mission with Voyager, now we have an opportunity for her to share her success and lessons learned with the rest of the Federation. And so she established a training program, which is interesting in itself. Like, how do you then take all those lessons learned into an AI system so that it can then project on what if scenarios?
Okay.
The episode, though, is called Lost and Found.
Yes.
Why do you think the episode has that title?
This is for all of the characters, but I'd say the most affected characters from this are Dao and Gwyn. Whereas Dao, he's just on this planet. We still don't know how he got on it exactly, but he's on this like prison-esque planet. He has no idea who he is, where he's from. He has nobody he even understands because he's just alone in in this planet. The only other person that he can talk to is the one oppressing him or the ones oppressing him. But and then he eventually finds an entire crew of people that he can understand, talk to, can maybe later on see as full on friends, and kind of fits the whole idea of lost and found, where Dao starts off lost and he's eventually found from this other group. It's the same way as Gwyn is starts off the episode in the situation that she doesn't want to be in. She's training to be the leader of this prison planet that she doesn't really want to oppress people on, and she's eventually found by Dao and the others and taken away against her will, but still taken away.
At first, they were the captives, and she was like much more free. And then at the end, she was the one that's captive.
Yeah,
They're free
yeah.
because she's strapped down. Yeah, good point. Many of the characters are like unwanted, and maybe they'll start to find out more about themselves. And the ship was lost. They found it, so finders keepers. But
I think this relates to everything here, honestly.
yeah. And Fugitive Zero was found.
Yeah.
Any good takeaways?
Or one, definitely don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, you can see from Rock Talk there. Dow's definitely on some sort of journey for self discovery because even now he doesn't know where he wants to go. He's just kind of, I mean, at the end of the episode, they're like, "Where are we going?" I don't know. I guess some people are struggling more than you know. I guess you can get that kind of from the episode that, I mean, Gwen doesn't want to backstab the characters. She doesn't want to, oppress anybody. I mean, she even let the person that was kind of bringing that cat slave to them, she kind of let him off the hook for once. She seems like a kind-hearted character, yet she's still in this whole setting where she has to be an oppressor, and she doesn't want to do that. So I'd say, yeah, people definitely struggle more than you know.
My takeaway is that you have each character with different backgrounds coming together to form a team, and for an opportunity to escape their current unfortunate situation, to see what else is out there. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? Like,
Yeah, I mean, actually have nothing else, so might as well.
yeah, I really, really like Dao. I like the rat tail, and you might not notice because it's like a 90s thing,
Yeah,
but I like the fact that each character is so distinct, but they're coming together to form a team. Because
yeah,
I like social misfits, as each character has its advantages and disadvantages. None of those characters are perfect. Yeah, it for me also another takeaway is that we can have Star Trek stories that do not start out as on ships and are not live action. I know there's other series, there's an animated series, there's like Lower Decks, but this is so different in the fact that it's much more family friendly and geared towards young audiences. I like the fact that they're taking risks with Star Trek and the storylines.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't grow up too fast. Let's
Oh yeah, no time skips, or at least like a small one, but nothing too drastic because I still want to know what's happening. You know.
Yeah. There's no rules to break at this point. So there's
Yeah.
no there's no policy, there's no federation standards.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're just innocent going,
Stole a ship, just left. That's all they did.
yeah, let's bounce. I'm tired
Yeah.
of this. Please share with us as we are like diving in deeper into each episode, and we may share your comments also in
Yeah.
our next video.
Why do you think the show is called Prodigy? And what connections from the title to the characters can you make through this? Make sure you post your answers in the comments below.
So we shared a lot of positives. Were there any negatives, any concerns that you have?
I do want to know who exactly created Tars Lamora because from what I see, it's at least slightly man-made. It just seems very weird to just have a planet like that. Who created the planet? How did everybody end up on the planet? It has to be something like maybe somebody was kidnapped, maybe Dao grew up on the planet. Who knows? Maybe that's why he doesn't know his family, because he might have been taken there as a child. Because they do seem to have children from other species on there.
I'm not impressed by the music score.
Yeah.
And I understand there should be background music. I just think that there's an opportunity that's missed there. I would like to have more memorable music integrated here, more youthful energy.
Did seem pretty generic.
I also think there's a bold move to create a family series that starts out with a prison colony break, but at least they're escaping. That's a tough conversation. Enslaved kids, but I'm hoping we'll move past that. I hope that if there's any kids that are watching that have questions, they'll reach out to parents and guardians to ask about it. And let's quickly move on to some more positive, and let's go to space.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, my predictions will have space travel, and I don't think we've seen the last of Gwyn's father.
Oh yeah, certainly not. He almost crashed out at the end of the episode, so he's definitely going to be coming after them. Maybe in one of the ships that Dow referenced when he saw all those materials that were in the mine, and he was like, "This is enough to buy the whole ship." So maybe he might be chasing after him in one of those, or maybe he has his own special ship that we don't know about. Who knows?
And my second prediction, I think Captain Janeway is going to be like a vital mentor to them, as I hope to be a vital mentor to you, Nick, as we're watching through this series. And yeah, you ask lots of questions about Star Trek.
I actually do have some predictions. Okay, so they're definitely going to go at some point in time. Maybe not the next episode, but at some point in time during this journey that they're on, they are going to go somewhere that helps Dow find his original species. Maybe they're gonna end up on his home planet, or maybe they'll find out something cool. Like maybe he's from an ancient, forgotten species that has some super cool power or something like that. And yeah, I feel like Captain Janeway is definitely gonna help the whole crew go about doing this some way, one way or another. That or they she might take them back to the Federation. I also feel like there might be a possible love interest between Dal and Gwyn, but we'll see.
Yeah, I did not see that in my first watch, but after rewatching, I was like, oh, is Dal a little smitten for Gwyn?
Yeah.
He seemed to say a few lines here or there that makes me think that if the opportunity was available,
You would certainly take it.
yeah, he would ask her out some way. I don't know how they do that in space, but that far in the future, that he wants more from life.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see where the series goes.
Until next time, everyone, live
Live
long
long
and
and
prosper.
prosper.